was,
Cut over, yeah, yeah.
That was $200 off on sale.
Magical decision.
Look, well,
it wasn't the same brand, no. No.
Is that
Canon,
What Canon was it?
thought it was a Canon, the 1299, I thought it was a Canon, because it was $200 or $300 off. But
Hey, throw me a bean in there.
we don't have room for another one. Oh, did you? The big one? You like that wrap on the big one? Pretty, isn't it?
It's just, when done, me.
You got it. I think
Yes,
that's
you
what
got
they out
it.
of California.
Yeah. D3. Jessica, can you, get my good side?
Oh, yeah, sure. I was like, let's go there more.
All right, everybody, we're in this evening's Town of Newland, 4:30, what's the date? 5/7 board meeting, not board meeting, budget work meeting. Apologize, I'm still on England time. It's foggy over here. So let's get started.
All right. At the last meeting, I asked for direction and guidance. I didn't receive it, so I winged it. A couple things I want to point out in this budget. Took a while to figure it out. I finally did some research. I had some excellent help on it, but there's an item at the bottom of revenues on page 1 that says appropriation from general fund. It's been an item that's been carried year to year about the same amount. And the consensus from the people I talked to is, this is what's left over at the end of the year. Anything left over at the end of the year, you zero out that budget and you pull this money into the current budget and put it on the revenue side. So I can't fill that in. I've had to delete that number. I can't fill it in until we know after the audit how much that is. So sometime around October, we'll put a number in there and I'll show you what that number is and where it came from. So when you do that, it actually brings the budget to $346,000 in the red. Because that number doesn't exist. So I didn't want to look at last year's, the auditor, I'm going to have her look at it. I've talked to her and asked her to look at that and see what the impact was. And we'll know here pretty soon. But that's where we sit. I took the $100,000 out for Public Works for their vehicle, and that's pretty much it. That's where we stand. If you asked me to look at some scenarios for the taxes, so I was able to run several scenarios, and basically, if we go back to where we were, 52 cents, we'll get to a spot where we have a little bit of cushion in our budget. That will not cover the public works side, utility side, unfortunately. We need to raise utility rates about 15 grand. That's about how far out they are. And that really needs to come from a rate study, so we've got a little bit of time before we have to get to that point. That really needs to come from a rate study. That is a study that's coming out of the AIA grant. So we should see that. I called and emailed the engineer for that. I haven't gotten a response back, but they had promised it to us here in the month of May, so I'm gonna hold them to that. There's a couple of things. I think Jamie said that the property values doubled in Newlands. They're only about 28% over the prior eval to the post eval.
So it's at 40 cents right now?
Is it 40 cents right now is what our tax rate is.
Bill, the property tax, went up, that was in the bigger exclusive areas, right?
Yeah, my taxes went up 82%. Our value went up 82%. Our value here roughly went up less than a third in the town of Newland wide. There's some that went up higher, some that went up lower, but Newland wide, it's up 28%.
I think what the county did was, if I'm not mistaken, at least what the discussion was, value went up. You can't do dollar for dollar off that, so they actually, just correct me if I'm wrong, I'm certain I have this incorrect. But, so, they actually, a lesser percent because of higher values, or therefore the taxes didn't go up as much.
Should have let them out. That's why I missed
Instead of going dollar for dollar. Where did we end up with the towns? We basically, we came back over 2 or something like that.
Yeah, we dropped that.
Okay, so we're really trying to just make sure we're trying to at least get back on track on that, since there were less.
It was before I got here, so I can just tell you what the impact is. The impact of dropping 12 cents off our tax rolls in a time when the economy is tanking and inflation is rising, and at that point it was rising pretty rapidly, it was in double digits. It just means our ability to spend shrunk tremendously. We were in a deficit budget last year, and we had a pot of money that we pulled from to balance that budget out. We're gonna be in an extreme deficit this year, so we don't have a choice. Last year we put off.
I'm certain it has to happen. So I don't have any disagreements with that. I was just making sure I was on the same page. That's how it got to.
Yeah, the county did 2 things, from what I understand, this is from talking to people at the county. They had a slush fund of money that they weren't allowed to have. So they dropped their tax rate down, and they took that money and put it in there, and that's how they offset their budget. So they don't have that issue, they don't have that slush fund money this year. And so they're gonna have to do something. I don't know if they're gonna raise taxes, it's not my job to worry about it, but they're gonna have to do something as well, so they're gonna be in the same position we are. I live in the county, so I've been kind of watching them and see what they're gonna do, how they're gonna handle it.
The evaluations went up,
Yeah.
and they dropped their tax rate.
Yeah.
And all the towns around it followed.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done too.
Okay, yeah.
We just followed.
But at the end of the day, we need to get that back up.
And that's a fine statement, we just followed, and at the end of the day, we need to get that back up. There was no logical reason why we dropped 12 cents. I mean, it's one thing to shoot yourself in the foot, the second thing, a shotgun and blow you for the hole. Go ahead.
So anyway, at this point, that's kind of the broad news of the budget. We don't have this paper, so much I don't want this. Right now, that even if we came up to 46 cents, which is what I was thinking would cover us, we're just barely covering the deficit. So we're at like 349 instead of 346.
And
So we need to.
I apologize.
No, it's fine.
I apologize. I was, I've been going through what we had last time, and that number significantly different. You
Yes.
explained it, I just didn't understand it. Why is it that much higher again?
So if you go to the revenue side, this is where that number jumps tremendously. The last line on the revenue side is called appropriation from general fund,
Is,
on page 1,
okay,
bottom of the first set. The first set of column or rows is.
thank you.
Yeah. It should be 10 for 5,000 appropriation from general fund. So in the proposed column, that 184,000 carried over.
Right.
And that's not gonna be true. So, once I figured out what that number was, then I had to remove it, because I don't know what that number will be until we have an audit. And that'll be October.
Is that a state audit?
Yeah, well, it's state mandated audit, we have a private contractor that does it.
And that was for 23, 24.
Yes, and I believe the previously approved number, 184.7, is incorrect, it should be lower. But I don't have that audit either. That's an audit we're in arrears for.
How much was in the grant last year, the CD last year that we took out? Cause I know the mayor went around hollering 3 point some million we had to put back.
No, it was 324,000.
It was the-
14,000.
It was that one.
The one we had to close out.
Yeah, it's the 120 that's in the First Citizens now.
Yeah,
So how much was it when we had to move it?
The 120, 165, we hadn't taken any out. We just closed it from the whatever bank that was down
UCB.
there. Yeah, or no, the one that closed down in Limble.
so.
We just
okay.
completely closed it and moved it over.
But
to-
there was one that matured in December that come in.
No, yeah, so,
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
so it was, we had an account, I'm not sure where it came from. The rumor is that we had budgeted over, and the LGC made us set money aside. So we set money aside, it was 324,000, I
That's
think.
right, I'm sorry.
That money, the bank branch closed.
Yeah,
We had no record of it, just they called us and said, hey, we're closing, you need to pay the money. So we got the money out, we brought it over to First Citizens, and we put it in a CD. That CD, when it matured, then we broke it up, we balanced the budget, and then we put the rest in a money market.
Yes.
So that's the 120-some thousand that's in the money market
At First Citizens.
at First Citizens. And it hasn't been touched since, it's just sitting there,
Okay.
gaining a little bit of interest, but.
We still have anything at UCB, because I know we had some problems with them giving some more.
Yes, those accounts are still at UCB until the audits are done.
We can't move anything other than that. We go with that because it wasn't actually part of the audit. It was just sitting out there somewhere.
can you show me where in the budget was the 400 some thousand that we used, I guess, for the improvements? And all that went out?
You have all the receipts and all the ways that we paid it, and all the account numbers that we pulled money from.
Okay. So it wasn't in the general fund, I mean, it wasn't in our budget last year, that's why I was
It was
saying.
partially in the general fund, partially in public works, and partially in utilities. Came out of 3 different funds.
Okay. So where did the money go out of the stuff to balance the budget?
But the money out of stuff.
Out of the CD, the 300 some thousand to balance the budget?
It went back into those 3 funds to try to balance them out, mostly into the general fund because it was the one in arrears at the time.
Okay.
If it helps, I think I might know a little bit more what you're asking. I coded most of that to street improvements and, repairs and maintenance, 818. I think maybe that's kind of what you're
Did
asking.
you say A1A?
818.
Oh, I thought it said A1A, like beachfront property.
What?
Misunderstood.
818, repairs and maintenance and public works street improvements is where most of that got coded to. I think
You
maybe
got it,
that's what
Christine,
you're
right?
asking. Or asking about. On page 4 and then page 3, if that helps any.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see how much was budgeted.
So, let me ask this, the rate that, has there been a rate that has been posed?
No,
yet?
no, that's your job. I mean, I was guessing at the time at the last meeting that we should go up to 0.46. I believe now, running the scenarios, it's gonna have to be a little bit higher.
See, when I had Lauren, so it was, I wish she could help me with all this, and I get it before, sure, something there.
So if you're, is that the,
Yeah.
yeah, if you look, you'll see the number there in the middle of the page with the brackets around it. That's how part of the budget is.
I can get you copies.
Okay, well, I can do this for now. Yes.
Gail, Christie, can you run copies?
Yeah, you might need more.
Of course, Jamie.
And this includes the COLA, right?
No, I haven't put any COLA in there at all. You haven't given me any, you've given me no direction at all. The only increase in salary is on the PD side. You did not, I asked for direction, you did not give me any direction, so I didn't know.
Okay, I thought she said that she wanted a COLA last meeting, did I not hear that, Christine?
No offense, but one person can't give direction like that. That's a big budget item.
Well, I apologize, on all the boards that I've sat on, typically it's been the administrator's job that they come, they propose and they go ahead and say what they suggest. At that point, it's the board's decision to go ahead and make adjustments on that. Now, I've got some of my own suggestions that we can talk about, certainly as far as at this meeting, but that's typically what I've seen in the past. Then the finance officer typically would be able to go ahead and say, this is pretty much where we're at. You know, that's why I'm a little bit confused with some of the auditing and stuff like this. Because the way that it was, at one point, when I was on the board, we bought a computer system to go ahead and update everything so it was plug and play. You took your numbers, you put it in, you punched it out, it was there. So that's why I'm really fuzzy on the whole thing of being that far behind, and I apologize. It's just that that's not how the system, as far as I knew that the system, when I left here, was designed and it worked that way. And so that's why I just didn't understand some. With that said, I think, it sounds to me like we've got some tax rate issues we need to go ahead and do. Don't mean to be taking up too much time here. And
Correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, we've jumped from a couple different systems since you've been here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, the system you're thinking that y'all spent all the money on, which I think y'all did spend on, they jumped from that system 2 different times.
And I do know that with computer systems
Here for Southern.
do not deteriorate, but they get, upgraded.
You were here for Southern Software when we bought that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was silly.
But.
What are we on now? We got different now, right?
No,
we're on Southern.
I was on QS1 when I started and then we
Yeah.
switched. to
That's a whole nother bag of apples, and we get to that. So, but, it'll all work out.
Have we figured out what, like, some other stuff, like the hotel tax bring in?
No, I haven't figured that out. That's just trying to get information is challenging.
Now, there's the hotel tax, that includes, of course, the inn, but if you buy Airbnbs.
Yeah,
you get money on
Airbnbs
that.
are subject to it, provided that they have a DOR number, which they're required to by law, but most of them don't. So, but yeah, we would get any rental, any short-term rental would give us that, not the long-term rentals.
Any idea how far down the road that potentially could be?
For us getting it?
Yeah. No, for us, I mean, I know we got to jump through a bunch of hoops and,
We don't have to jump through that many hoops. The county kind of saved us some time by doing it themselves, so we can play off of that, but we still have to get the answers and what hoops I have to jump through, and trying to get somebody at the state that has knowledge is a little challenging.
I would be interested to see those numbers.
Yeah, I too, frankly.
Bill, on the appropriated from general fund, is that something that is done on a year-to-year basis?
It's done on a year-to-year basis, and I mean, every budget I looked at in other cities, it's in their budget lines as well. And I had to call a friend of mine, literally middle of the night, calling this guy and saying, hey, is this supposed to represent this? He's like, no, it represents the money that's left over at the end of a fiscal year, at the end of a budget. When you close a budget, the money that's left over is appropriated into the revenue side of your general fund. So you zero out whatever, whatever your numbers are, you zero it out. So that budget gets completely closed, there's no money left over in that budget, it all gets appropriated back into the general fund on the revenue side. That's why it's called revenue, because it's a plus.
Right.
Then we allocate it or spend it, so it becomes a slush fund. I know it's a bad word, but it becomes a fund that you can use for any purpose you want. You just do a budget amendment, boom, there it is, and you can use it. But it ends up, it's just whatever money's left over at the end of the budget year gets put into that. And so I don't know what that number is until the end of the year.
Just a quick question. alcohol tax, is that beer and wine license?
That's, yes.
Is there any way we could push that up?
No, we're mandated, it's mandated by state, yeah.
Okay.
The only way we can push that up is to add liquor sales, that'll be the only way. And of course, it'll fluctuate, we'll get higher sales, lower sales, but.
Yeah.
We were at a beer truck to the food truck Thursdays. Raise sales. What happens?
Yeah, that one, they're pretty forthcoming in getting answers for that, so.
Yeah.
But the liquor, if we did the liquor, we would've got about $138,000 off.
You know, she's guessing based on the size of the town, the fact that we've got a sizable population that comes through the town. She's thinking anywhere from 70 to 120, so, and there's so many factors, you don't know. If we have a lot of celebrations, then we draw more people, so we get more money.
But in that also just sales, in the town itself? In other
In
words-
the town itself, yeah.
So, but correct me if I'm wrong, it's nothing with the ABC store, it's
Correct.
just off of, just say of one restaurant or one bar, one whatever, put in, if Porto Nuevo was to go ahead and put it
Yeah.
in, then any of the sales that they had off liquor sales, the tax would just come specifically out of that.
Yes, but the other part of it is, which I didn't realize, is we have to attach ourselves to the ABC store, we have to buy from them.
Right.
So they have to share some of that revenue with us, it'll be a proportionate share, just like they share with Banner Elk.
Yes, yeah, just to interject, I want somebody to check in on that, because I was told by the ABC officer that the money comes out of the ABC and just gets split up by any town that's got liquor by the drink, not what y'all are proposing, which is just.
No, we get our own, like sales tax, yeah,
Yeah.
let's just say it's one place, so Puerto Nuevo. They implement this and they have margaritas with tequila in it and whatever else they sell. Every sale has a tax associated with it, it's on the bottle, it's not on the drink, it's on the bottle. So we get a portion of that, so every drink they sell, we get, a few pennies, and they sell 100 drinks, we get $1, whatever it is. But we also split it with the ABC store because it becomes regional.
The towns that are
We become a
participating.
part of that,
Right.
so we get that revenue.
That's the money that I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that's gonna be a little bit higher because they generate a pretty good revenue.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about the revenue that comes just from.
Yeah, that's why she was saying it's such a broad range, you don't know. And it's gonna be contingent on our negotiated price, with the ABC stores. We have to go to the board and become members.
I think we get some money from the PD. Don't we get money for an ABC officer?
We can't.
Like Ori Smith's the Banner Elk ABC officer.
Yeah.
And they get money from the state, from the ABC commission, for him to do his duties and sign
Yeah,
off and
we
stuff.
would participate in that as well.
Like, it helps with his salary.
Do what?
It helps with Ori's salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody jump in, anybody got any proposals for Bill?
I'd like to just see what the hotel tax would bring in and Airbnbs. I know we set that amount, right?
Yes, but we have limits, but we haven't set.
Yeah.
I think the highest is 6.
Yeah, the highest is 6%.
Yeah.
That or they don't find it statute.
Yeah. But that would bring in a lot, well, some.
Do we have any bed and breakfasts new?
We have 2, I'm not sure if they're in town or not, I have to go look, they're close to town.
Where are they?
There's one, no, that's a good I'll have to look,
How long did it
yeah, it's like, I know we have
take?
one.
I know we have quite a few Airbnbs.
We have a lot of Airbnbs, because I looked them up just to see how many there were, and I counted 12, and then I didn't go to the other side, the Verbo site. But I've heard there's just as many on the Verbo site.
Anybody else?
to see our, police officers get the raise that they requested. I think they do a wonderful job. They deserve it.
What was proposed, 8 or 6?
8%.
8.
Looks like that's just under $11,000, and I feel like we could be able to find that if we're moving money around in the hundreds of thousands.
I personally don't think it's enough.
Where's the, where's your capital items?
Very bottom, page 5.
That's not a single,
Oh, sorry, starting on page 4. Very bottom, page 4.
capital projects. So we did,
Put 75 in for the streetlights, that's just in case we run into something. So far, and I'll give you an update in our regular meeting, but so far, we've not run into any issues, putting them in. So we've been very fortunate. The dog park, I mean, we've got the dog park itself, but there's no amenities in it. We talked about last year benches and that sort of thing, so,
I thought we had that more.
no, have not. I kept running into maintenance items. There's an additional 10,000 for Christmas lights. There's an additional 100,000 for Casa, but that, I don't know that we need that. We still need to get water and sewer, we still have to get insulation on the big building, and we have to get heat in it. But that's what we need, that's what's left. We can do graveling in the parking lot and give us a little bit of stability, you know, away from the mud kind of thing. So I just threw a number in there that I thought would cover all of that.
Yeah. Now, what does the wastewater treatment plant, what's that project exactly? Is that to redo that?
Yes, to redo it, and it's not on the budget, it's just a placeholder. Right now, with the, and again, I'll give you an update in the regular session, but we've got 1.6 out of the 3.2 allocated to that, we're in the RFP process, so, that's all working on lines and manholes, trying to get rid of some of this water intrusion into our system, and repair some of the lines that we're constantly working on to clear. We've got a lot of protrusions for some reason. So that's what that'll cover. I'm hoping we'll get another grant that'll get us an update on that wastewater treatment plant, where we're looking at $3 million just to do that. So it needs a lot of work.
All right, Michael, you have any notes from last month?
For what?
What we talked about last month, as far as raises and what y'all, looking at equipment and whatnot?
Yeah, really, like, the big purchase equipment we won't have to have is new body cameras.
Like what?
New body cameras. The ones we have, they're 7, 8 years old, 26 and 8 years old, and they're about done their due. We've got parts and pieces from Bannerette when they upgraded their cameras. We got their old ones, and we've been piecing them together, just to keep them going. And I've applied for a grant the past 2 years to get new body cameras, and, we got denied both years. And I talked to them this year about the grants, and they said it's not gonna, somehow they switched their system of how you apply for the grants, and it's jacked a bunch of stuff up. So they said they won't even be putting the grant out to apply for this year until 25. So, but, the body cameras, right now the guys are having to share because we don't have enough for everybody to have more dedicated to them.
Do you have a price on those?
Do I?
Do you have a price?
Yes, I talked to Axon, which the sheriff's office got these cameras last year. Sugar Mountain has these cameras, and everybody has nothing but good to say about them, okay? The total price is gonna be a little over 40 grand, okay? But they will split it up for us, where it's almost $9 grand a year. And every 2 years, we get updated to new cameras, whatever's new on the market, they take our old one back and we get new ones.
And it's $4 grand, you said?
40.
40 total.
Yeah,
For the body cam.
Yeah, yeah. But they will split it up to, it's a little over
Thank you.
$8 grand a year, so we'll be making payments on it. But every 2 years, we get new body cameras.
So it's a lease thing, kind of.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like what you do with your cell phone.
Yeah. Basically.
So it'd just be 8,000 or 40,000 initially, which one?
Well, I mean, if you just wanna,
Right there.
if you wanna pay for it all up front, it's 40,000.
But then you wouldn't get the new ones on the trade-in program.
Probably not, no.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
You
see, I think the 8,000 a year would be the better deal. From talking to the sales rep and talking to Sugar Mountain and Sheriff's Office.
I like the sound of 8,000 a year better than 40,
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
and then you just upgrade.
for sure. Yeah, like, and it's automatic too, we just,
How often did y'all call that lawyer line last year?
quite a bit.
All the time.
Yeah, they are worth their weight in gold,
Okay.
yeah.
You know, it helps us on a number of things.
All right.
All right, will you add that?
That's in
In
this
the
budget.
cameras already in?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it, did you put it in as 40 or 8?
Put it in as the 9, actually, right?
I think that's what we talked about, but.
It's on your uniform equipment, Michael.
8,000 on here.
No, that doesn't include the camera.
Oh, it doesn't include.
Yeah, because I've gotta get some of the guys, their vests are gonna be expired, and that's why the uniform and the equipment budget.
Yeah, it's part of the, line, it's the minor equipment non-grant line, it's part of that.
Okay, gotcha.
It's 30,000, it's on that blue, it's
Yeah.
page 2.
How many guys you got now, Mike? 8?
No, we got 6.
Oh, it said you were ordering 8. I thought everybody just had their
8
own
what?
cameras.
No.
Yeah, that one has 8 on it.
Okay. I don't know, I didn't notice that. Should be for just, I told him possibly 7, that way we have a backup if one
Yeah.
does crash.
But it's got 8 on it.
Okay, well then it'll be a
Same
little
price
bit
for
cheaper than
8
that
or
then.
6 or 5, isn't
Yeah, it'd be the same price for 12 as it would be for 6.
it? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, so.
Take them. Put them up in the hole.
That sounds good to me.
So, I'm trying to understand this. You guys have asked for these new body cams, you've asked for possibly some vests already in this budget, right?
Yes.
You're still under budget with an 8% request raise.
Yes, according to this, yeah.
Would you like to take over and run the rest of the town?
No.
It's 6 cameras, it's a 8-bay docking station.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I've had to look at like, no, it's 6 cameras, but the docking station is 8.
Nice.
I know this came up in the last meeting as far as concerns for staffing for water, sewer, public works. In both those categories, in $79,000 budgeted as far as in salaries, but I think we talked about lesser personnel. Certainly there's some numbers in there that could change.
Yeah.
I still think we need to go ahead and hire at least 1 or 2 into that system, but even at that should still
Yeah,
put
that
some
would,
time.
that would drop those, what I did was split water and sewer in halves, or public works and then water and sewer. So the 4 people were divided 2 and 2.
Right.
And then, so it was just easier to manage the budget.
Oh, no,
But-
I know, but I'm thinking from a budgetary perspective.
You're gonna go ahead and get somebody hired.
Should be
Well,
less.
yeah, but how many, I mean, we put out the job ad and got
Right, but, I mean, so some of the works that we've moved over into, contract labor, correct? And so the contract labor's in here.
Yes.
Okay, so if contract labor's in here, you fair to say that the salaries, from a budgetary numbers perspective, should be less, so, I think that those need to be changed, at least in accordance. Just assuming that we have
So,
three people.
part of that discussion is, I think when Gary and I were talking, please correct me, it's been a while, but we were hiring one other person and then leaving room to hire somebody part-time to help us like in the busy season in the summer, to do stuff that we run into periodically. We've got a mowing contract, we've got, actually, we got a couple of contractors that help us with water sewer problems now. And then, you know, we would just have little minor things, clean up an inch here and there. But, if we have the ability to hire one other person and then just in summertime hire, you know, a part-time or temp.
And if that is the case, that should be roughly, just say a number, usually $60,000, would that be?
Yes.
Okay, so $60,000 plus, what Gary's salary is, and I don't know what that is.
$150.
Go for it.
$150 raise.
But base, I think, is only 53,
How much was,
the base.
Just, okay, so just saying if, it's a ballpark, just saying that we had $120,000 in their salaries, you got 79 cents. Talk about 160, 158. So from a budgetary perspective, you're still, you can put a red mark on $30,000 less budgetary. When that, the reason that's kind of important to me is because I know that, here's the way I see it, budget. I'm not about passing the buck, we need to figure out a way to make it happen. And if we can make changes along the way, or if we need to raise or lower taxes to go ahead and get ourselves where we need to be, then that's what we need to do. Pretty simple. I don't like the thought as far as I'm going ahead and being at a different end of the perspective as far as on the police. I think that we should take care of those guys because they take care of us, there's no doubt about it. But I'm a little concerned with that, so at the end of the day, I'm thinking some things like, that salary number can come off there. I think that you're talking about that $100,000, we probably need to look at some adjustments on that. And I also think that unfortunately, we need to look at some adjustments on some of the cars or the vehicles and some of the things that we need. And if we can get this number down to around a negative $100,000, and we can look at, and their potential water taps that come on there, certainly adjustment with the general fund. If we get in that neighborhood, we can get some stuff and get it back on a positive.
Okay, so on that note, that was one of the things that we needed to discuss is personnel, being able to drop it, if that seemed reasonable to you, just have one other person helping him and then the ability to hire somebody that's needed to kind of fill in, you know, if we run into stuff that we need to work on, like cleaning ditches, that sort of thing.
My thought is, I think, I'd like to try to have three if we could.
Okay.
And because you certainly got, you know, somebody on call as far as on the weekends, in water, and there's always, something's gonna happen. And then you certainly got vacations, you've got enough time to go ahead and do that. So my thought would just be, you know, if we can get that, obviously, the other problem is finding the personnel to do that.
Yeah.
But if we can, I would like to see three. And that's just what I would hope for.
Is that a consensus?
Let's ask him too, 'cause I think last time you said one would work.
Well, I mean, for right now, until we figure out budget and stuff, I mean, I understand the three.
Oh, I apologize, I mean, total, you included if we had three people.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
understand.
I'd like to see two more, if we can.
Yeah, and that's, you know, like you said, we can find the ones, but for right now, if we can just get one, and then, I mean, I can't be training two at the same time, and,
Yeah.
but the first thing we need to do is rerun this ad and specify exactly what we're looking for.
But when we're looking at it from a
Yeah.
budgetary perspective, we're
Yeah.
talking about over the course of the years.
Right, yeah, I understand having three total, you know, that would be a good number.
Well, now's the time to talk about the amount that you pay, what you're offering, what, $15, $16 an hour?
See, I don't know what the starting pay ever was, I never knew that.
$16.90? Yeah, I mean, that's, around here, it's actually pretty.
Well, 15 is 30,000, so,
Yeah.
So that's why I just use that as a ballpark number.
Yeah, and this is the low level, I mean, this is labor that we're talking about, we're not.
Right, so that's, again,
So I think you just take one out of there.
I don't think anybody will do it for 15. I don't think anybody will do it for 16.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up. That's why I'm bringing it up. Banner Elk is right now apparently looking for folks, and they're cherry picking out of Lee's McCray and getting some really good employees out of Lee's McCray, and I'm hearing the numbers that they're bickering about, and we're nowhere close to that.
No,
But we don't have the money.
Yeah, I don't see it being.
But my point is they're only able to get potentially some good potential employees because they're paying a little money. I'm saying, if you're gonna get anybody, it's $15 an hour. It's not,
But I think we're at 16.90.
Yeah,
Yeah,
69.
Still.
That's still pretty good.
That's pretty good, yeah.
well, okay.
With benefits, right?
But let's
Yeah.
say, just for the fun of it, let's just say that we're at $20 an hour with two people, which I don't think we're gonna be, but if we were, then you're talking $80,000.
Yeah.
$80,000 right now, the salaries are set up at basically Gary's pay and the difference, so you're still, from a red ink perspective, should be able to take, you know, $15,000, $20,000 off of that number that's on those pages.
Bill, I keep looking at capital items. Do we need new Christmas lights this year? We bought them the last 2 years. Are we not good, or?
No, it's just a number I brought forward, you know, it's, every once in a while, it's good to have something new, you know, just for
Yeah.
public interest, but we did quite a bit last year, so. But definitely one, it's again, it's something I put out there for you guys to look at.
And would dog park benches cost 25,000?
No, we're looking at trying to fix the drainage in there too, because it gets swampy when it rains in the middle. So it's trying to put in some drainage and then fill it in a little bit, so it doesn't get swampy in the middle. I mean, I was out there the other day and people are using it, but they're walking around the edges of the fence, you know, trying to stay out of the wet stuff.
What do y'all think about cutting that Christmas light down to 5,000? That way it'll allow them to buy something new, like maybe a reindeer jumping across the road or something. I don't know, like, huh?
That's cute.
I mean, we want to save somewhere.
How many Christmas lights? How many Christmas lights? We got a bunch last year, didn't we?
18?
15.
Yeah.
We got 15 more over the 24 or 25 we got the year before.
We're short about 25. But what y'all forget is we're putting up, $500,000 streetlights, we're gonna need something to put on to them.
The old ones are pretty much, we put some of the old ones up when we had it, but most of those are pretty much shot, the old ones.
Yeah, they were shot.
And the new ones, we had some issues with some, so we needed to go completely through those again. Some of them got water in them for some reason, we just need to take the bulbs out, clean them out, seal them up, and put them back together. But they sent us like 200 bulbs, and I can get more bulbs to replace if we need, but I don't know that, we need to get through what we got and see how many we have, but, we've got different kinds now, they're not all snowflakes.
Yeah.
I don't think we had any issues with the ones we just got, so.
I say we cut back on the police department, go back to 2% for them, and help with Christmas lights.
Be cool. Be cool.
How much were those, do you remember roughly?
I'll be honest with you, if you wanna buy more lights, and I mean, this came from the Moscow guy himself, the best time to buy is January,
Yeah.
cause they're like 30-some% off. So I wouldn't buy anything until after the first of the year if you wanna
Yeah.
buy something. Cause that's gonna get you the best price, and then you'd have them for the next season.
Okay, how much were they like?
Between,
Ballpark.
they probably average, I think the ones we got this last time averaged between 500 and 700, depending on which one it was. So you could probably say average 700 apiece. And then maybe get them down to 5 or 6 if they were on sale.
Again, it'd be 5,000.
are you good? Are you finished? So, are you finished?
Me? Yes.
You wanna add anything?
No, I think we're good.
All right, let's talk to you. So you've been doing 2 jobs. You've got range deer and that time. But when you go back to 1 job.
So, kind of a lull, we're gonna try to understand, are we gonna cut the Christmas lights down to 5?
It was 25
It's
less.
at 10 now.
Yeah, for now.
So 5, okay.
I say, what do y'all say? For now. And see how many we can get in January.
I'm good with that.
We're gonna zero out 1 position in public works, utilities, that realm, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we could probably cut the part-time position after she's on school. In the end of May.
After,
End of
you talking about
June, end of
Serenity?
June, huh?
You talking about Serenity?
Yeah.
Oh, she's gone, yeah, I mean, she's not gone yet, but she will be.
She'll be gone, she's staying until, I think, the end of July.
End of July.
Yeah.
And then she'll be
And then
gone,
she's-
she's going to school.
Yeah.
So, all right, do we have enough to finish paying her out
Oh,
of that?
yeah, oh, yeah, she's, we're only at 8,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then we can
Yes.
mix that, okay.
Yeah, if you don't want to bring that back, that's
So
fine.
that's 28,000. We can get.
Do we still need the other contracted accounting?
He's not been here in a long time.
All right, because part of that was the help, and then part of it was the accountant that was helping us catch it up.
Are y'all good with that?
Good.
I'm sorry, I'm still got a question on
Okay.
something. I'm trying to find out off the sheet that I had last time versus this time, and it's disappeared. You probably said that, I'm just trying to find it. There was $100,000 and then another,
The 100,000 for vehicle and public works are removed. I gathered that was what you did. As a consensus, you didn't want to buy new vehicles this year.
okay, so what I don't understand is if that was removed, the previous was 151,000 negative.
Well, that's on the public works, yeah.
But isn't that a total? So when total government
That
expenditures, now we're
was-
looking at a budget at the present, what you have is $346,000, is that correct?
Yeah, that was on page 4.
Yeah, okay, so if the one that we had, when we were here last, if that's the, what was the one we had last time? It was general operations, we had $151,000 negative, and I think what you said was you added the $184,000 into it.
Yes.
So if that makes that, if you add that into that 151 number, but we took the 100,000 out, how do we still, that should be like 200.
The 100,000 came out of utilities, which is a separate fund. That comes off of page 4.
Okay, so do we have a total?
Yeah, that dropped the deficit to 15,805 for utilities. And then you'll drop that even further by dropping the position out.
Why don't you go ahead?
We won't go ahead, but we'll get really close.
Okay, okay.
We'll just have to- No, it'll be 30,000.
Yeah, we'll go
Oh,
ahead.
we'll go ahead, yeah, we will.
We'll go ahead 15.
Okay, thanks. I'm sure I was on the same page, so do we talk about a tax rate? Or keep, tax rate?
I'll be the first to say it, as much as I hate it, they have to go up. At least a little bit.
At least has to go to, since we went to a negative, I just think it needs to go.
I'll never be in favor of a tax increase on the general public.
Tell you what, can we do this? I would suggest run the numbers that you're looking at this point,
Okay,
and perhaps we can,
I can email that out to you in the morning.
yeah, you don't have to.
Oh, midday.
I don't think any American would like to see a tax increase. That being said, the situation we're
I've spent 35 years in government, and my philosophy has always been government just needs to be as big as it needs to be to do what these people want. And so I don't like tax increases myself.
Gary, you have a question? I'm sorry.
If y'all don't get Public Works a new vehicle this year, you better plan on 2 next year. Every vehicle we have is over 10 years old.
Yeah, some of them are literally falling apart.
Need to downsize those.
Well, you know, it's funny, we have that Tacoma, and that gets the worst gas mileage of any of the vehicles. I don't know what's wrong with it. We've had people look at it and change the oil. It's just a junk vehicle.
Personally, I didn't think we should take the whole thing out. I think we should go ahead and, you know, if we could try to cut that in half.
Yeah, when I took that 184, it's like, and then I remember the conversation we had, you really weren't too enamored with used vehicles, or new vehicles. The other option is a good quality used vehicle.
It's the only reason I mentioned that one at Harbor, but Mary didn't seem to like that.
I don't know,
It's all good.
I've got sources in other towns I've worked in, they've gotten used vehicles, they were government vehicles to begin with, they were maintained, and they've been refurbished, and I've had real good luck with them.
Some folks have a little bit more money than we have, and it's not that we want to go ahead and do that on any kind of a regular basis. But however, it's something out of necessity to go ahead. At the end of the day, our streets are awful. I mean, we upped it to $10,000, and that doesn't, it's not gonna scratch the surface on what we need to do.
No, ours, from what I'm hearing from state revenue side, the PAL bill will go up a little bit, about 5%, which will be good for us. We're still gonna need, you know, another 25,000 to even do any work. And I've got a long list of potholes, that we really need to get working on pretty quickly. Those are a little bit easier, but doing a whole street or a whole section of street with Toggins one, we've gotta get done. This, whole public out here, we've gotta get it done. Those are gonna be a little bit more expensive. Gary's drafted an RFP for Old Public so that we can at least get a price on that and see what it's gonna take to finish it. We're gonna approach the beauty shop and ask them if they want their parking lot paved. They can work a deal with the guy, whoever we hire. Sellers, I mean, we won't, but at least you won't have to pay the setup fee and probably get a discount on the asphalt, to get it done. But we were gonna offer that, just, you know, just, I noticed yesterday when I drove by there, she's got part of it, you know, worked off, so. So we're gonna keep her in that loop once we get and settle on the contractor, we're gonna let her know who that is, and if she wants to negotiate with him, that's fine. We won't pay for it, it's private property, but, unless you guys want to pay for it, but.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, so I will make these changes, I will, have a couple other changes, I'll put those in an email, I'll attach this, update it, and send it to you tomorrow.
So nobody gets really pissy with bills, y'all want him to do a COLA? And that did come to.
I'm gonna add it in there. Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna add it in there so you see what it does. And I'm looking at what, 2%, 3%?
It's a Biden economy.
I mean, I can't do 8% across the board, that's.
Well, put it in there. Yeah. Okay, since Dave drug us out, let's end the budget meeting, take a quick break. Thank you.
When's the next budget meeting?
You guys have to plan one, I was thinking before your next meeting on June 4th.
Okay. Is that okay with everybody before we go?